We are kicking things off this Thursday morning with another friend of the show, Mr. Michael Babcock. He's one of the executive producers over at TMZ to talk about a couple of hot topics in the world of entertainment. We are talking not only about the Diddy trial, because there's been some very interesting little twists as things get to the finish line here, but also, Michael, we're also going to be asking you in a little bit.
The century.
Yeah, the wedding of the century. Wow.
And good morning, guys. Our invitations must have gotten lost in the mail. I've got to ask Jeff and Lauren Sánchez about that. But anyway.
What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Bezos, or do you want to get right into this Diddy stuff and get that out of the way?
You want to get? I don't know. You want to get the bad, the negative out
Let's
of the
go. Let's start with the bad, so we can look forward to the amusing. So what is going on? There's been a last-minute, really 11th hour kind of twist in the plot with the Sean Combs trial. Get us updated, Michael.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. So today, we are really at the finish line here. So today, as we speak right now, as a matter of fact, closing arguments are being made. So the prosecutors are up there. They are expected to speak for something like 4 hours today. They will speak for 2 hours, take a lunch break, come back for 2 more hours. Everybody goes home, and then tomorrow the defense team will make their closing arguments, and then the prosecutors will have an hour to rebut what was said. And then this thing, it could be tomorrow afternoon, but likely on Monday morning, this gets kicked over to the jury and they deliberate. But you're exactly right. There have been some big changes here. So we know this is not a domestic violence case. This is a racketeering case, a RICO case, and a sex trafficking case. Well, the prosecutors have taken some things off the table that they put witnesses up to testify to during the trial. Namely, Kid Cudi's testimony has become largely irrelevant now. You remember Kid Cudi was on the stand. He testified about an incident that happened years ago where he believes that Diddy ordered somebody to drop a Molotov cocktail, essentially a bomb, in his car, his Porsche, and blow up his Porsche.
Oh, my.
Well, now prosecutors have removed that attempted arson element from the RICO charge. So when the instructions are given to the jury, they will not hear anything. They will not be told anything about the arson. So it will not be considered. So everything, again, that Kid Cudi said about the arson, at least, wiped off the board. Also, there was an attempted kidnapping element to the RICO charge, and that also, too, is now gone. That had to do with a former Diddy employee named Capricorn Clark, who had said that Diddy and his, some of his team had basically held her captive, and administered a lie detector test over the course of a couple of days to find out whether or not she had taken stuff from him, materials, jewelry from Diddy. That's off the board now as well. So again, the charges still remain the same, but the elements that have to make up those charges have now been altered.
Why did they do that? Why would the prosecution do that?
Well, I think there's two reasons. One, the judge here really wanted them to streamline, to pare down, to kind of focus the instructions that were given to the jury, because he doesn't want this to be so complex and convoluted that they can't come back with a verdict. But I think the reality is this was up to the prosecutors, and if they felt like they had been strong in those two elements, the attempted arson, the attempted kidnapping, I can't see any way that they would, choose to take those off the table if they felt like that would help them get a conviction. I mean, essentially what it comes down to is, for the RICO charge to stick, you need to have a couple of different elements met. Like, was he doing X? Was he doing Z? And if those number of different elements, at least two elements, are met, then it can constitute a guilty RICO verdict. Again, now they've taken some of those things away. So arson not considered, kidnapping not considered. And I think it shows that they feel like they weren't very strong on those points. And then I wonder, do they feel like they weren't very strong in their case altogether?
That is a question I think a lot of people are asking. Does he get off here? Now, does this change the sentencing parameters? If he is convicted on the remaining charges, will it change things in terms of his ultimate outcome?
Yeah, so no, it won't, because at the end of the day, if you were to look at the counts here, you would still see the racketeering and the sex trafficking. So that really hasn't changed. It's just, obviously the racketeering is a little bit different of a charge, because it's the idea that he was running, allegedly, this criminal enterprise, and he was then acting as the head of this enterprise, and people were doing essentially illegal things on his behalf. So it's not as simple as if this was a domestic violence case, and it's like, did Diddy hit Cassie, yes or no, guilty or not? And that we've seen, that's pretty straightforward. So no, the sentencing guidelines would not change. He is still facing decades in prison if convicted here. And I mean, everything's on the line for Diddy. But I think if you're looking at this and you had to say, is this a good sign for Diddy or is it a good sign for the prosecutors? I think undoubtedly you say it's a good sign for Diddy. That's not to say he's going to be found not guilty, but I assume that they are looking at this as if it's good news. I can't see how else they would.
Well, let's switch our tune now. Let's talk about a big wedding. Yeah? All right. So
that sounds great.
We're talking about Venice. So Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez have officially touched down their wedding weekend, making all the headlines for all the right or the wrong reasons. So let's talk about this ceremony. What is going on? What have we heard?
I think if you could think of, make up the dream wedding with the dream guest list. And this is what they're doing. I mean, they are two people in Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos who they like going to big parties. I think they like being the center of attention. And obviously with Jeff Bezos' fortune, with something like $250 billion, they've got the means here. So, I mean, they are spending, upwards of $10 million on this wedding. I mean, you're talking about just for the wedding being $50,000 a head, something like 200 guests. The who's who, I mean, everyone from Leonardo DiCaprio to Orlando Bloom to Ivanka Trump to Tom Brady. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Not just actors, musicians, athletes, but some of the biggest and most influential business leaders in the world will be there. They are largely all there already in Venice. As a matter of fact, Jeff and Lauren got there yesterday and arrived in grand fashion. And I think this is, as far as weddings go and as far as parties go, I think this is probably, if there was one that you could be at, it's probably this one.
Probably this one, yeah. I saw Oprah getting off the plane, Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, it's like, right? The guests are so big that I'm forgetting about people like Oprah,
exactly.
Right? I mean, that's how many celebrities.
It's massive. Now, Michael, I had read somewhere, this is just like in the last 12 hours, I want to say, that they had to call an audible on one of the venues here. They had to change course. Is that accurate? And if so, what's up?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because a lot of the the people who are going there and the celebrities, they're obviously very excited. But a lot of the locals are really upset, guys, that it's like a traveling circus comes into town and you've got things being shut down and areas that are closed off, and you've got all of these people and the jets flying in and the yachts rolling up. I mean, just Jeff and Lauren alone. I mean, they've got a 420-foot yacht. It looks more like a cruise ship, and because of that, you're seeing some last-minute changes, and you are seeing a lot, especially of the locals, who are not really loving that this is happening right there in their backyard.
Just as an onlooker, what's surprising to me is 200 guests. And they have all these celebrities. Where are their family and friends? You know what I mean? Like,
let's hope they were invited.
I know nobody, and I had 100 people easily. Are they inviting family? Do you think they're going to do two separate ceremonies? This one is just for the glitz and the glam?
Right. No, I mean, I not even heard anything like that. But I got to be honest. When I heard like 200 people too, I said, I kind of imagine that it might be more people. But I think that probably just goes right. I guess it just goes to show that it's exclusive. I think it's probably going to be a mix. It'll be a lot of famous people. Not that they're not friends with these people, by the way. It's just that at when you're Jeff Bezos, and these are kind of the people you rub shoulders with. He's not friends with me. He's friends with Tom Brady.
Oh, you're all of our invite got lost in the mail. Michael, do we know anything about the actual plan and some of the things about this wedding? Or are they keeping that well under wraps?
Well, they're trying, but we've learned some things, some elements here. Okay. Now, they are actually having the rehearsal right now as we speak. From what we have been told, and it just goes to show how guarded they've been, it doesn't seem like the wedding is going to happen until Saturday, but it does also feel like they might be keeping us on our toes, and perhaps it is actually tomorrow. But rehearsals going on right now, a wedding likely Saturday. They have got a bunch of different themed parties. They're having a pajama-themed party that everybody that's going to the wedding is expected to attend. They've got a Gatsby-themed cocktail party that they're doing. Ooh. So this is not just like the wedding and everyone gets out. This is a whole week of festivities.
That reminds me, when you were talking, I saw an element, I don't know if it was on TMZ's Instagram feed, but that Orlando Bloom is going stag to this thing?
Yeah, so
is that right?
That's another thing. So he's been engaged to Katy Perry forever, for like 6 years. They are not together right now. They have split, and he is going to this wedding single and ready to mingle. Imagine that. Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Brady, and Orlando Bloom.
It's the Bachelor crew.
Bachelors.
Orlando, I didn't know they broke up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
I didn't really know either. I follow the stuff loosely, but that is going to, the pajama party might get kind of wild.
You're right. I wouldn't want to be a guy at that party if you were like, looking to find maybe a lady for yourself, and you've got those three walking around. Good luck.
Oh,
and Leonardo with the Gatsby party. He's going to be the
yeah, that's
of the
right.
gathering.
He played Jay Getz. Good pull there, Kayla.
That is a good callback.
All right, Michael Babcock, thank you so much. Always so much fun to check in with you.
Anytime. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, have a great one, sir.
Okay.
Yes. I think, was it this past week we were talking about the average cost of an American wedding, which was
36 or 38,000.
exactly, which surprised me at how high that was.
I'm surprised they're only spending $10 million.
Me too.
I
when
thought
he
it
said
would be
10
$1
million,
billion.
me too.
Why
I thought it'd be
not?
like 50, 60 million.
And 200 what?
That's,
that can't
that's
be right.
not
No
very
way.
much. That's not very many, but I think
No.
Michael's right that that's just how exclusive this party is.
They've got brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles and where are all those people?
Where
are all those people? Oprah, that's awesome, but where's your family?
Maybe you don't. They're both on at least round 2 here. I think Lauren Sanchez has been married a few times. We know Jeff Bezos broke up with Mackenzie Scott some years back, and so maybe the friends and family are like, hey. Listen, we were there for round 1. Oh
We're
my
good.
gosh, talk about great
Cannot.
tease before we go to break. Oh my gosh.
Hey, baby.
The cuteness factor in studio just shot up to about 12 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh my, does it?